Welcome to Wrestling's Hottest Audacious Takes, hosted by myself, Aaron Rift of NoDQ.com. In this video series, I read some of your boldest opinions about professional wrestling, and then I give my responses. Let's take a look at today's topics. Dean Ambrose was greater than Jon Moxley. This is a difficult one to answer. I think that I would agree with you for the most part. I enjoyed Dean Ambrose as a well-rounded character. He was serious, he was a little bit crazy, he could do the comedy. I enjoyed Dean Ambrose and I really liked his matches in WWE. Of course, Jon Moxley is more of an authentic, unscripted character. Some people prefer that. Definitely more violent. Maybe a bit too violent. And also, I feel like the Jon Moxley character is better as a babyface. When Jon Moxley went heel and formed the Death Riders, he lost me a bit. Too much with the violence, too many rambling promos. I also feel that Dean Ambrose was better as a babyface character, but overall, I would give the slight edge to Dean Ambrose. Short title reigns with memorable moments usually mean more than lengthy ones built up to piss off wrestling fans and not capitalize on new faces. The Rock, Steve Austin, and so forth had 1 to 4 month reigns that were legendary compared to several long reigns. I would agree somewhat. I think that short title reigns can be very effective, but I also think there's a problem when you hot potato a championship and there are too many title changes, then you just end up losing track of who the champion was. I do feel that long reigns can be boring, especially if it's the beginning of the reign and you know it's going to be a long one. You feel that they're not losing anytime soon, and those early title defenses, at least for me, they're hard to get into. With anything, I think it's important to have a balance. Sometimes you can have a short title reign, sometimes you can have a long one. You don't want too much of either. You want to balance it out, have some long reigns, have some short reigns, and figure out what works best for the particular storyline. Sometimes I did enjoy those Attitude Era feuds where The Rock and Mankind would go back and forth with the championship. It made the feud more memorable because these guys were so evenly matched. They were battling it out back and forth for the title, and I think it actually added to their storyline. Accepting blood money from the Saudi dictatorship is still wrong, and WWE is normalizing being morally bankrupt. I don't know if I would go as far to say morally bankrupt, but I definitely understand where you're coming from. It is difficult at times to watch WWE knowing some of the questionable business decisions that they've made over the years. And yes, as a corporation, they have certain responsibilities, but also their main objective is to make money. I can understand both sides of the debate on this one. From WWE's perspective, they feel they're making progress by going to Saudi Arabia, but of course we all know they're getting that big paycheck. It's the way of the world. Corporations do this, and unfortunately it is normalized. So I do agree with you to that degree. WWE is pure garbage, and if you support it, you're not a good person. I disagree with both. I know some people will say, if you support WWE, you're morally bankrupt. You support a company that does all these evil, bad things. You could say that about just about any corporation. Corporations get rich for a reason. They know how to build up their company at all costs. And WWE is no different. They have made a lot of questionable decisions. But like with any company or any artist for that matter, actor, musician, there are plenty that have done questionable things over the years. And I personally separate the art from the actual person. Same thing with WWE. I don't have to like their business practices, but I do enjoy the product that they put out. And I will continue to watch it and support it as much as I want to because I find the shows to be entertaining for the most part. Wrestling is a channel flipping show. Match you don't care about? Flip. Netflix isn't the move. I could see where you're coming from with that. One thing about Netflix is that I feel like WWE's audience beyond the initial launch, you're not going to see random people tuning into Netflix and be like, oh, there's WWE, maybe I'll check that out. I feel like you have your core audience that is watching it now. Having said that, I do disagree with you saying Netflix isn't the move. We're moving away towards traditional television. Streaming is becoming more and more of a common thing in the modern world, and I think WWE is moving in the right direction with this. I think eventually we will see just about every show you watch on streaming. The fact is, you can really watch it anytime you want. You don't have to watch it live. You can tape it, record it later, whatever you want to do. That's the great thing about the technology now. That concludes this edition of Wrestling's Most Audacious Takes. What were your thoughts on these opinions? Leave a comment and subscribe to the No DQ YouTube channel for the latest wrestling news and discussion.